Hey there, welcome back. Just by looking at this frame right here, you can tell that today is a little bit more special. It's not just any car, clearly. So, we're gonna go ahead and do something a little bit different. Now, what I wanna say is that there are very, very few cars out there that are truly something special that won't be seen again. There are very few cars that can be replicated, that can be copied, or just done again in the way that they were when they came out. And this is truly a prime example of that. You can't replicate the Skyline name, you can't replicate the GTR. It is just something that when it came out, it would dominate, it would bring the whole world to a stop in the car culture, of course, and it just would not be replicated. It couldn't. Nothing could beat the GTR. It was truly an amazing piece of machinery back in the day, and it still is till today. It set the standard for many things. It set the standard for many cars. The technologies it had that were built back then with very, very limited technology, and it was just pushed all the way to the limit, and it was just something that was very special. It wasn't seen in that form before, or at least to that caliber, if that makes sense. Now, not only did it impact racing, the car culture, but it impacted many, many people and just a community of car people, guys, girls, whatever. But it just hit very, very hard when it came out. And I'm talking about specifically the 32. We had the line before, ever since things like the Hakusuko, or before then when the Skyline was a name, but it wasn't used with GTR. But when the 32 hit the market and the racing scene, it was just something that was never even thought of, seen before. You have a Tesla all-wheel steer system that, who knew what that even was back then, It just didn't even make sense. You have the RB26, the very, very famous engine below the hood of this car, twin turbos. And even to this day, the numbers of this car still hold up pretty decently. And this car was in fact so good that it actually got banned from racing, if you didn't know. This car just couldn't lose, so they had to completely get rid of it, and it couldn't compete anymore because it just wasn't fair for the different cars that were there. It would come first, second, and third place in many races, and it would just completely take over, and it wasn't even a competition at that point. It was just Skyline versus Skyline, which you don't really see. And what other car like that truly did it? Everyone knows the history, and there's tons of videos on that you can go watch. Very good videos, of course, very informational. But since this car is just so famous, I don't think it needs that type of introduction right here. So I just want to get into the actual impact that this thing had in the community, the different hits it had in the culture, and just on different people in general. Because to start off, me specifically, I know that ever since I was little, 10 years old, 11, I've seen this car online, of course. I hadn't seen one in person, and it's just something very rare. You don't get that feeling with many cars. There's somehow a nostalgic feeling, even though I wasn't there for that. I wasn't even born. I wasn't even a thought back in the 90s or the 80s, or maybe even the very early 2000s. But this car still somehow gives a nostalgic feeling and something special. It's truly something rare. And it's kind of a dream if you think about it. There's so many people that this car inspired. This is the reason why people get into cars, why some people even like driving cars for no apparent reason. And that is something that not many cars do. There are very many good cars. They're fun, fast, quick, they turn corners very well. But the feeling that it gives can't be replicated just by making another car. It has to have the history, the looks, the aesthetic, the time era it was from, and all of the feats that it accomplished during its time. Now, I know that at least here in Cali, in California, the JDM culture is a little bit bigger. I know in different places it's not the biggest thing, but here it is one of the biggest cultures and the biggest communities within the car community. And this car inspired many people to open up shops, to make their own tuning places, to street race, and to just do things that wouldn't have been done if it weren't for this car. It's not really something that can be shown or that you can really explain, but it's different for every person. Every person has their own story, and all the stories are told through the car. The way that you mod it, the way that you stance it, the way that you tune it, how you make it look, the color it's painted, and every single GTR has its own personality through the owner. This is one of the cars that actually started my interest. It is what really got me into researching and looking at different types of engines, looking at how cars work, how the combustion engine works, what the transmission does, and every single component that comes together to make a car. I was interested in actually putting things apart, bringing them together, and making something special. I started off easy, of course, just a simple oil change, taking off wheels, just the lug nuts. And came the times, of course, where you would take something that seemed pretty simple, you thought that you could do, you take it apart completely and you forget how to put it together, or you didn't take pictures to see how it was, you didn't remember different parts of the process and you put it back together all wrong, and then at the end it doesn't even work. And that's just an experience that goes for anything. Any new job, any new work, or any new activity that you do will always come with those interruptions, those different setbacks, and that's how you actually learn. That's what you need to continue, and now that you made the mistake, next time you know not to do it, or you know what to do to prevent it. And I think that there's something about Japanese market that stands out to a lot of people, which is the price on performance. That you can go out and buy a $4,000 Civic, put $5,000 into it, and you truly have a very quick car. You could have turbo kits, intercoolers, and you could do everything to your taste, your liking, and there's just so much aftermarket modification, performance, and different brands out there to truly enhance your own vehicle, make it your own. There's a type of excitement that you get when you drive one of these cars. The best way I could explain it is kind of like having those memories that you had when you were a kid, and it just comes back out and it comes back to you. Like a little kid with a new toy. That is what truly makes a car special. Not the fact that it has 2,000 horsepower, but the way that it actually makes you feel. And that's why it's your taste, it's your car. And that is the relationship that you have with the car. It is your own vehicle that can take you anywhere. It's the sense of freedom that you get. Now, actually being inside the car, it actually does feel like all the video games. It looks just like that. It looks like the movies as well. And you feel like you're in it. I'm not talking about the car, but like you feel like you're in those games, Need for Speed, or all the movies that it came out in. And it's just so iconic. You have everything pointed towards the driver as well, because that is what it's meant for. It's just a pilot-oriented car. It's just a driver car. The passenger only gets one vent, and that's it. That's everything that's on the passenger side, nothing else. And the window switch to bring it up and down. But everything is pointed towards me. I have a gauge for my boost, a gauge for temperature, and a gauge for my battery voltage. All these things right here, my emergency lights, beams, high beams, even radio buttons are here on the dash pointed towards me. And there's nothing else that I see that gives commodity or an amenity to anybody else in the car. The back seats are a joke. Nobody fits there. They're just there to say it has 4 seats. The clutch though is insanely stiff. I'll say that as expected from a sports car. It kinda, if you're used to just driving a regular clutch car, like just any type of car, this thing just like throws your leg back. And if you're wondering, yes, the pedals do say R, because this is a GTR. You know you're driving a Skyline. You know people are gonna look at you. You know, you look at all these cars online, you look at the auctions, you look at the different sellers, just pictures in general, and it's what you expect. Another thing, last thing I want to add, it has that 90s Japanese car smell, you know what I'm talking about? Like that old Japanese car smell. You ever got it in like a 90s Toyota or a 90s Nissan? They all have a specific smell, and I don't know what it is, but it's probably like the leather, the material that it's made out of in the inside, of course, but like a cool thought, you know, that one smell brings you back to all those memories and something else to add on. Now this engine is just known for its tuning capabilities. The RB26 is very famous just for that. But not only that, its capability of taking boost and taking extra modifications after its already high horsepower mark from factory. Hence the big turbo right there. But not only that, it's also overbuilt very well. It's known to be fairly reliable, as long as you're not pushing it insanely far, of course. You're not gonna make 1200 horsepower reliably. But if you tune it, give it a nice exhaust, intake, things like that, is known to be reliable while still taking all that extra pressure. And also another note to add is that back then it was rated at 280 horsepower because of the agreement that Japanese manufacturers had. You couldn't state that your car had more than 280, but the rule was you couldn't make a car past 280 horsepower, or else they would get into a big horsepower war and they didn't want people killing themselves or crashing. But of course, nobody listened. So you have this car that was rated at 280, although when you took it to a dyno, it clearly made easily over that. Some even rating it above 300 horsepower, 310, 320. Stock, by the way. So it very obviously was not that. And this is the outcome that you get. After that rule was broke, everybody broke it and they continued to make cars over that. Of course, you got the MK4 Supra, the RX-7 FD. You have things like the 300ZX over here in the United States. And if we want to completely branch out, the VR4 from Mitsubishi and different things like that. So those are one of the biggest cars from this scene that were this guy's competition. And I like all those cars as well, but I still like the Skyline better. I don't know what it is. It's just maybe because I saw this one first or the history that it has, but for me, the Skyline is above those for those reasons. So actually driving the GTR this time. My sister's over here. She's gonna catch the camera if, well, that one, because that was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She's gonna catch the camera if it falls. No, just. So as I was talking about, you see this car when you were a little kid, you know, you see this car in video games and things like that. And I can say that for me specifically, I remember times where I would actually dream of driving this car. I would wake up in the morning and realize that it wasn't actually real, but I actually dreamed of being in one of these and just driving around. You know, there's no destination or anything like that, but you're just driving, and that's the true experience. So that's just something truly, truly special. That's something that you don't forget. That's something that you bring from your childhood, your memories, and as a kid. We're just gonna do a quick turn around here just so that you guys could get an idea of what this car is like. And this thing just... I'm sorry, this thing's blocking it. Oh. It's just the Skyline. You know what it is. People know what it is. People are looking at you. And it's an experience that not a lot of cars share. I'm gonna have an open road right here. Just once. Oh my God. yeah, it's special. What else can I say? That's all I can really say about it.
Do it again, do it again, do it again.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it from first gear. And it's just a dream that you have as a kid. This is the dream. This is the actual car, the inspiration. And dude, when the boost hits, it's just so like, you get that. It feels like you're flying. I don't know. Man, the handling, the Tesla all-wheel steer system. You know. Yeah. You know, this is an experience that many people maybe haven't gotten to, you know, get into. Not everyone just has a Skyline or a friend with a Skyline laying around. And that's what it is. So, you know, just to conclude this whole video, it's, you know, I just want to say thank you, Nissan, thank you, Skyline, for gifting us these great cars that can't be replicated, of course. There's not another one that's going to come out. I'm going to end this video here. Thank you to the client who lent me this car. Thank you for letting me do this. I very much appreciate it. It's something that you don't get to do every day, or at least for someone in my position. I hope you enjoyed. Of course, have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.